Hollywood loves a comeback story, but it also loves watching stars burn out in spectacular fashion. Some actors had the world at their feet. Blockbuster hits, critical acclaim, screaming fans, and then almost overnight, it all went up in smoke. Today we're counting down 10 actors who destroyed their own careers through scandal, bad choices, or complete self-sabotage. Let's start with the star who went from Saturday Night Fever to cinematic dead ends. Number 10. John Travolta. In the 70s, Travolta was unstoppable. Grease, Saturday Night Fever, he was the poster boy of disco-era cool. Then came the wilderness years of the 80s, followed by a miracle revival in Pulp Fiction. Everyone thought he was back for good. But then the choices got weirder. Battlefield Earth, a Scientology passion project, became one of the worst reviewed films in history. Later films like Goaty and The Fanatic didn't just flop. They scored literal 0% ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. At some point, people stopped saying Travolta's back and started asking, should he stop? Travolta's career was derailed by one bad movie. But Brendan's collapse was a slow-motion tragedy everyone could feel. Number 9. Brendan Fraser. In the late 90s, Brendan Fraser was everywhere. The Mummy turned him into an adventure superstar. And for a while, it felt like he was the next Harrison Ford. But behind the smiles and swashbuckling, things were falling apart. Fraser threw himself into his own stunts, and his body paid the price. Surgeries piled up, from his spine to his knees, until he could barely move without pain. Then came personal struggles, a messy divorce, financial troubles, and his brave decision to speak out about an assault he faced in Hollywood. Instead of support, he was quietly sidelined. By the early 2010s, Brendan had almost vanished completely, popping up only in small TV roles. For years, fans kept asking, whatever happened to Brendan Fraser? He went from red carpets to almost total obscurity. His story became one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking examples of how fast the machine can chew someone up. Watching that clip, it's impossible not to feel how much this comeback mattered, both to him and to us. Fraser slipped into obscurity, but Mel Gibson, he lit his own career on fire for the whole world to watch. Number 8. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson was the king of Hollywood, Lethal Weapon, Braveheart, and even directing The Passion of the Christ. But in 2006, it all came crashing down. A DUI arrest turned into a rant filled with anti-Semitic comments that went public. Later recordings of violent threats and racist language cemented his downfall. Studios stopped calling, and his name became box office poison. Years later, he clawed back with Hacksaw Ridge. But the truth is, Gibson went from Oscar darling to Hollywood outcast almost overnight. And if Mel's downfall was scandal, our next actor's was pure tragedy. Number 7. Tom Sizemore. In the 1990s, Tom Sizemore was everywhere. Saving Private Ryan, Heat, Black Hawk Down. He had the gritty, tough guy presence casting directors loved. But off-screen, Sizemore spiraled into addiction, meth, heroin, arrests, rehab stints. It all played out in public, even on reality TV. Instead of being remembered for his powerhouse performances, he became a tabloid figure, overshadowed by drugs and crime. By the time he tried for a comeback, Hollywood had already moved on. But not every career collapse is fueled by scandal. Sometimes it's pure self-destruction. Number 6. Robert Downey Jr. Before Iron Man. Yes, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man now, but rewind to the late 90s and his career was in pieces. Arrest after arrest, drug charges, even jail time. He was so unreliable that studios refused to insure him. He literally got fired from Ally McBeal despite winning a Golden Globe. Downey went from Hollywood's most promising actor to a walking punchline. It took years of rehab, and Jon Favreau taking a massive risk on Iron Man to rebuild his career. Without that gamble, RDJ's story would have ended as one of Hollywood's greatest flameouts. Of course, not everyone gets that second chance. some spirals end in heartbreak. Number 5. Corey Haim. In the 80s, Corey Haim was the teen idol of the decade. The Lost Boys, Lucas, License to Drive. Girls had his poster on their walls, and Hollywood had him lined up for stardom. Then came the drugs. By the 90s, he was broke, addicted, and starring in direct-to-video B-movies. He tried comebacks, including reality shows with Corey Feldman, but nothing stuck. By the time he died in 2010 at just 38, his story had become a tragic cautionary tale of child stardom gone wrong. And while Haim lost himself to addiction, another legend lost his career to ego. Number 4. Marlon Brando. Brando is often called the greatest actor of all time. On The Waterfront, The Godfather, his performances were untouchable. But off camera, he was difficult. By the 60s, his diva behavior on set, wild demands and weight fluctuations made him toxic to studios. On Mutiny on the Bounty, he was blamed for the film going millions over budget. Later, his refusal to play the Hollywood game meant he went from revolutionary star to washed-up recluse. By the time he did Superman and Apocalypse Now, he was more spectacle than actor. Brando's fall was spectacular, but our next stars was slow and heartbreaking. Number 3. Montgomery Clift. In the 40s and 50s, Montgomery Clift was a matinee idol alongside James Dean and Marlon Brando. He had it all: talent, looks, critical acclaim, but a near-fatal car accident left his face disfigured, and Clift turned to pills and alcohol to cope. His once bright career dimmed as directors labeled him unreliable. He kept working, but the decline was clear. Critics later called him the longest suicide in Hollywood history. Clift's story wasn't about scandal or arrogance. It was about tragedy consuming brilliance. From golden era tragedy to modern era tabloid chaos, let's talk about one of the most infamous spirals of the 2000s. Number 2. Lindsay Lohan. In the early 2000s, Lindsay Lohan was Hollywood's next big thing. Mean Girls, Freaky Friday, The Parent Trap. She had the talent and the charm to carry movies. But then came DUIs, court appearances, rehab stints, and constant paparazzi drama. Roles dried up, and instead of being a bankable star, she became late-night joke material. Though she's tried comebacks, Hollywood has never fully trusted her again. For every Lindsay's back headline, there's another breakdown or lawsuit. And finally, the most spectacular self-destruction of them all, a tiger blood-fueled meltdown. Number 1. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen was TV's highest-paid actor, the star of 2.5 Men, and a fixture in films like Platoon and Wall Street. And 2011 happened. In a whirlwind of drug binges, public rants, winning slogans, and that infamous Tiger Blood interview, Sheen torched everything. He insulted his boss, trashed his co-stars, and was promptly fired from the show that made him millions. Studios backed away, and his public image became less bad boy and more walking disaster. Even now, Sheen is remembered less for his acting and more for the implosion that ended his career.
I probably took more than anybody could survive, you know.
What are we talking about? How much?
I don't know, man. I was banging 7-gram rocks and finishing them because that's how I roll. I have one speed, I have one gear. Go!
And there you have it. 10 actors who had it all and somehow threw it all away. Some managed comebacks, some didn't. But all of them remind us that in Hollywood, fame can vanish faster than you can say tiger blood. So which of these stories shocked you the most? And which actor do you think deserves a comeback? Let me know, because in showbiz, every downfall makes you wonder, who's next?